Welcome to Portland State University's Digital Accessibility Basics training series. The videos and accompanying quiz content in this course module will provide a general overview of digital accessibility principles and accessible design guidelines that can be applied to both HTML and non-HTML environments. This training series is a critical application of Portland State University's Electronic and Information Technology, or EIT accessibility policy, developed in collaboration with the Disability Resource Center, Contracting and Procurement Services, Global Diversity and Inclusion, the Office of Academic Innovation, the Office of Information Technology, the Office of University Communications, the Office of Academic Affairs, and the Portland State University Library. In order to comply with PSU's EIT accessibility policy and ensure the ongoing accessibility of any public-facing digital content, this training series is a prerequisite for any pdx.edu site editor trainings offered by Portland State University's Office of University Communications. So what is digital accessibility? Digital, online, web, EIT, ICT, all of these descriptors apply to digital environments and resources that must be designed in a way that is both accessible and usable for people with disabilities who use alternative means of access, like adaptive technology. Sean Lawton Henry, a key contributor to the World Wide Web Consortium's Web Accessibility Initiative, defines web or digital accessibility as follows. Web accessibility basically means that people with disabilities can use the web. More specifically, web accessibility means that people with disabilities can perceive, understand, navigate, and interact with the web. She goes on to say that while access to people with disabilities is the primary focus of web accessibility, it also benefits people without disabilities. Sean's point is that while accessibility is necessary for people with disabilities, it is also enormously beneficial for people who do not necessarily identify in that way. Inaccessible digital content can be problematic for people who are older or aging, people for whom English is a second language, people using older or slower technologies, people who are new to using the web, people who use the web infrequently, people who use mobile and smart devices, and of course, people with disabilities. And when I say people with disabilities, I am including people who are colorblind, deaf or hard of hearing, people who have a visual impairment, a motor disability, cognitive disabilities. A significant number of these and other visible or invisible disabilities go unreported, meaning that inaccessible digital content may be excluding end users at any given time. People with disabilities actually comprise the largest minority in the United States. According to 2014 U.S. Census data, approximately 27% of United States citizens identified as having a disability. That's at least 1 in 4 people. According to a 2016 report by the National Center for Education Statistics, approximately 11% of post-secondary students in the United States identified as having a disability. This is an enormous population for institutions of higher education to exclude, simply because digital content has been designed without accessibility in mind. Why is digital accessibility so important? Tim Berners-Lee invented the World Wide Web in order to make information more accessible to everyone. He is noted for saying, "The power of the web is in its universality. Access by everyone, regardless of disability, is an essential aspect." This was the purpose of digital content. Accessibility. When a web page, PDF, electronic document, or video are created without accessibility in mind, those who use adaptive technology to access information may have difficulty using the resource, and in some cases may simply not be able to access content at all. Let's take a look at the following course syllabus. This syllabus was created using Microsoft Word. The text is selectable, so I know that it can be read out loud via tools like screen reading software that are used by people who are blind. However, none of the organizational structure has been designed with accessibility in mind. Instead of using columns to organize content, the author has used hidden tables, which are difficult to navigate effectively using adaptive technology. While there were visual headings in place, and content that is visually organized into lists, actual heading structure and list structure were not employed. So there is no way for users to know that these organizational elements exist by listening. In order to learn about grading policies, for example, users would simply have to listen to the whole document until they get where they need to be, unless they happen to know the exact term or phrase for which they should search. The heading structure that allows users to scan and locate just the section they need is only available visually. Let's take a look at a PDF version. When content is created accessibly in Microsoft Word and saved and edited appropriately in Adobe Acrobat Pro, the PDF can be fully accessible via adaptive technology. A PDF like this one was not saved and edited appropriately. Like the Microsoft Word document we examined, the text here is selectable, but the document is not equitably navigable. Even worse is a PDF like this one, that was scanned but not run through optical character recognition or edited appropriately in Adobe Acrobat Pro. Thus, even the text is not selectable. There are multiple rationales for pursuing digital accessibility in a higher education environment, not the least of which are the practical business rationales. Accessibility allows for greater compatibility across devices and browsers. This is especially noteworthy when academic coursework and campus life resources are becoming increasingly digital. Students and faculty are also employing an increasing variety of primary operating systems, as more and more work is conducted via mobile systems. One of the most substantial ways in which digital accessibility affects growth and retention is the fact that accessible searchable content dramatically increases search engine optimization, or SEO. This means that your digital content will be easier for all users to find and to navigate. And finally, once again, people with disabilities make up the largest minority in the United States. The sociological or ethical rationales for digital accessibility are relatively straightforward. It's the right thing to do. Digital accessibility is a critical component of diversity, and the disability itself is most often created by society, by the inaccessibility of any given digital or physical space. Accommodations are simply a reactive means of providing what should have been established proactively. Steve Krug, a user experience professional and author of Don't Make Me Think, a common sense approach to web usability, expounded upon this and said, "It's the right thing to do, and not just the right thing. It's profoundly the right thing to do, because the one argument for accessibility that doesn't get made nearly enough is just how extraordinarily better it makes some people's lives. How many opportunities do we have to dramatically improve people's lives just by doing our job a little better?" And finally, the legal rationales for digital accessibility. The Americans with Disabilities Act and Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act signify the clear necessity for digital accessibility. Decisions of the Department of Justice and Office of Civil Rights have been affirming the legal necessity of a more proactive and inclusive model for over 10 years. In order to meet that proactive standard, institutions have been instructed to follow the World Wide Web Consortium's Web Content Accessibility, or WCAG, 2.0 guidelines, levels A and AA. These are the guidelines which have been incorporated into Portland State University's own EIT accessibility policy. This policy was signed and adopted on January 30th, 2019. It is posted publicly on the Office of General Counsel's webpage for adopted policies. When the work seems difficult, remember, accessibility is a civil right. Thank you for participating in Digital Accessibility, What and Why. You'll notice that this penultimate slide includes a cartoon inspired by a public school student with disabilities. This cartoon features a ramp and a staircase leading into a school. Both are covered in snow. A person in snow gear is shoveling snow off the steps while several students wait. A student using a wheelchair asks the person with the shovel, "Could you please shovel the ramp?" The person with the shovel replies, "All these other kids are waiting to use the stairs. When I get through shoveling them off, then I will clear the ramp for you." The student using a wheelchair replies, "But if you shovel the ramp, we can all get in." This cartoon is especially poignant when you consider how often developers, designers, and content editors choose to design without accessibility in mind, planning to provide a separate but equal alternative. Separate but equal is not equitable, and it is not accessible. Please take the time to review the principles you have learned in this presentation by taking the accompanying quiz. Thank you so much.